Good evening and welcome back to KTN Prime. We're set to have a conversation that cuts straight to the heart of an unfolding diplomatic and legal storm within the East African community. Just today, Senior Counsel Martha Karua, the People's Liberation Party leader, was held incommunicado at Entebbe International Airport in Uganda shortly after her arrival into the country. Karua had traveled to Kampala to support the defense team of constitutional lawyer Arias Lukago, who's facing what many argue are politically charged treason-related offenses. She was subsequently denied entry, deported, and declared persona non grata in the East African nation. This isn't an isolated incident, so is the East African community's promise of free movement and shared legal boundaries a farce? And what does this mean for the state of rule of law in East Africa? Joining us right now in her first live interview since the Entebbe debacle is none other than Senior Counsel Martha Karua. Senior Counsel, it's great to have you with us. Thanks for your time. It's proper to note that social media is awash of details on your harrowing experience in the hands of Ugandan authorities. First of all, how are you feeling? But equally, walk us through what exactly happened during the hours of being held at Entebbe International Airport. Was your safety, your physical safety, at risk at any one point?
Let me first say that I'm feeling great. It's great to be home, and very happy with those who were able to meet me at the airport. The many, especially my colleague leaders who have come to visit me this evening, who have made telephone calls, all the family, friends, party, I feel very good this evening, upbeat. And yes, today morning, I arrived at Entebbe Airport at 8:50 a.m. aboard a Kenya Airways flight. This is a routine I have taken many times. I go there for the day, go to court, and come back in the evening. In fact, the colleagues I was with have just taken off from Entebbe Airport and are on their way back to Nairobi. So I was processed by immigration the normal way, and I passed. And at the baggage area, I was waiting for my colleagues to be cleared. Then the lady who had cleared me came and told me that she was informed she had made a mistake, that there was a note against my name. And she asked me to see the supervisor. I cooperated. We went to the supervisor, who then said I should see another officer, who then said I should see another officer. I ended up in the office of the principal immigration officer at the airport. They asked him what to do, and he asked them what the note said, and they said the note said they should deny entry, and he told them go put it into effect. So I returned with them to their office. They do not exactly look like they know what to do. Then two officers come, I suppose junior immigration police officers. They take me to a side office and give me a form to fill. I declined to fill and told them we need to begin by them telling me why I'm being held, and I had already been allowed entry. I'm a holder of an East African passport, and I'm there legitimately. Can I be told which section of the laws of Uganda and which particular law I have broken? So they had no answer. They said they're acting on instructions, and I needed to fill the form. So I declined to fill the form. It was asking for my name, place of birth, details that are exactly on my passport. So I invited them to go photocopy the passport. And in the course of that conversation, one of them snatched my phone, one of my phones which I was holding on my hands, very rudely. And I told him he didn't have to act like a bully. He should have asked for the phone if he wanted it. And I asked him what law allowed him to snatch my phone. If it is deportation, deportation does not allow them to seize my property. So they went out. After a while, I had a second phone. I removed it. I wanted to communicate with Nairobi to tell them what is unfolding. I thought they had left, but they were hiding somewhere looking at what I'm doing. So the second one came and snatched the phone. So they were telling me to fill the form, and there was a standoff. Eventually, they took me back to the principal immigration officer, who was civil. He also requested I fill the form, and I told him not with what has transpired. First, to tell me why they have confiscated my phones, what they are doing with them, because I suspected they were mining information from my 2 phones. They refused with the phones. He said, I'll get them on my way back to Nairobi. I asked for reasons of my denial of entry. He didn't give any. He just said security. Why are you holding my phones? Security, that they are a security threat to Uganda. So I just kept quiet, and at some stage he said I should go to the room where they hold people. I suppose it's a holding cell at the airport. And I told him, because I was returning with KQ, my loyalty program allowed me to go to the KQ lounge, and that's where they should take me. At that stage, he looked relieved. He called the Kenya Airways manager, who came, was given my passport, was cautioned not to give me until I'm on board, and I was taken to the lounge where I waited. Yes, at some stage, I thought I was at risk, my safety was at risk. They were behaving bullish. They were being unnecessarily hostile and bullish, but I suppose now that I know, so many calls were being made all over, and I believe the very many statements made by many bodies, including the bar associations, the Kenya Bar Association, of which the president, Kajama Senior Counsel, was on the same flight as me to Uganda and was going to observe the case. I need to clarify, I wasn't and I am not a lawyer for my colleague Arias Lukwago. My practicing license is specific to Dr. Besige and Obed Lutale. I was going there to observe his case and to give him moral support.
All right,
and that's
Martha.
what I was prevented from doing. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. It's great to know you're back in the country, safe and sound. But by declaring you a senior counsel of the Kenyan bar persona non grata for attempting to enter Uganda, how exactly has Uganda effectively torn up the EAC Common Market Protocol? Because how do we talk about regional integration when member states can arbitrarily invalidate a lawyer's professional mandate, even though they gave you that reason of it being a security hazard?
You have said it exactly, that Uganda has breached the treaty. I have a valid special license to practice in Uganda. I am an East African citizen with an East African passport, and unless if I commit an offense, I should have free entry. The treaty is for the free movement of people, goods and services, and I'm providing legal services in Uganda. They were not able to give me any reason, and this note, which I was given after I boarded the plane, just says that reason for denying entry, persona non grata. Persona non grata is not a reason, it's a decision. So they have not given a reason, and I am going to challenge them in the courts in Uganda, in the East African Court, and or in the African Court of Justice. We cannot let rogue leadership in East Africa make the integration a matter for leaders to help each other to stifle their citizens integration is meant for the benefit of the citizens of the East African states.
Okay, let's see how that progresses. But I have to throw a spanner in the works because this isn't the first incident, Senior Counsel, in terms of being barred access into an East African country. Now, with Uganda repeating the exact same playbook, does the East African Court of Justice really possess the practical teeth to stop this emerging trend? Or have some of these regional leaders actually successfully insulated themselves from accountability, hence perhaps rendering the EACJ powerless?
A very important question. The EACJ has to some extent been slowed down or killed by the East African leaders. Although it is voted money, that money is later reallocated. That court has been starved of money. It no longer hears cases real time. The challenge to the decision of the Supreme Court of Kenya in the electoral petition concerning me and the late Honorable Raila Odinga is still pending. And remember, when I took the gubernatorial challenge to the East African Court, it was heard within 1 year. The appeal was heard within less than 1 year. And now it's 4 years since I filed the last case. So going to the East Africa Court of Justice looks like going to park in a parking lot. So we will be deciding with my lawyers and with the East African Bar which court to go to. But I will definitely challenge this because it doesn't augur well for East Africa. And I want to link my deportation from Uganda today with my deportation from Tanzania last year. In both countries, opposition politics and dissent is being criminalized, and the law is being weaponized, and senior opposition leaders charged with treason. In Tanzania, Tundu Lissu, who is facing treason charges, was prevented from participating in the elections, October elections last year. He was the main challenger to President Samia Suluhu. On the other hand, in Uganda, Besigye has been in custody since November 2023. The elections were January this year, and although he was not running, he was prevented from participating or influencing that election in any significant way. And the main challenger to President Museveni, Bobi Wine, was hounded. Maybe 100 or more of his members are in court, and some were not even able to vote. Okay. We have seen him hounded out of the country. Democracy is dying in East Africa. In Kenya, which I'll say it has acquired the notorious title of capital of abductions in East Africa, Besigye was abducted, not extradited, abducted from Kenya without due process, with the help of Kenya security agencies. We remember of Kanu, a Nigerian national, abducted and handed over to Nigeria by Kenya. We remember of the Turkish nationals who were properly refugees in Kenya, deported back to Turkey without a care about their security. We remember of South Sudanese, some of who have been deported and have disappeared without trace. So this is something these nations are doing. And more recently, Kenya deported a lawyer and international human rights defender, Brian Kagoro, without any reason. So it looks like the three major East African states have gone rogue and are weaponizing the law to oppress their citizens. To come back to my deportation today, my deportation coupled with the charging in Uganda of one of the main lawyers in Uganda areas, Lukwago, with misprision of treason, effectively denies Besigye two of his key lawyers and impacts on fair trial.
Now, Martha Karua, just to be the devil's advocate, because there are critics who might argue the same way that perhaps President Samia Suluhu of Tanzania argues that you are all about foreign interference. That's how they termed your legal observation. How do you respond to such critics?
May I say that actually what she said, she did not call us human. To quote Samia Suluhu, viumbe kutoka nchi jirani walituvamia na tuliwashughulikia. We are not viumbe, Madam Samia Suluhu. We are citizens of East Africa. That statement alone tells you of malicious action by heads of state gone rogue. And that's the way I answer that.
Okay, let's see how the cookie crumbles. Martha Karua, it would be bad for us to let you go without getting your take on the upcoming second anniversary of the June 25th demonstrations that are set to be held across various parts of the country, specifically in the capital, Nairobi, this particular Thursday. We saw you accompany some of the affected families. I think you're presenting a petition to the officers in charge at the National Police Service headquarters. Talk to us about your expectations, including the reactions from the relevant authorities, where some argue that they seem to be warning against a destruction of property rather than giving the assurance that we will secure the demonstrators, of course, in the background of the Goonism that has transpired time and time again. Briefly.
Yes, we went to give notice of the procession on Thursday. And the reaction from William Ruto and members of his government is suggestive of preparation by them to unleash the state-owned and state-raised goons on the demonstrators to get an excuse to kill and to get properties destroyed, because that's what this government has been doing. So I will not give details of what will happen on Thursday, but I believe leaders are watching, leaders are getting their heads together to see what to do. But yes, the parents of the Gen Zs who died are requesting Kenyans of goodwill to treat Thursday as a national holiday where we remember the blood of the innocent that was shed in 2024 and the aftermath, including last year.
Okay, Martha Karua, Senior Counsel, thank you so much for your time. I know it has been a long day, quite an ordeal, but a luta continua, the struggle continues, hoping for reprieve.
A luta continua.
Okay,
Thank
well
you.
noted. Thank you so much. PLP Party Leader Martha Karua, who was just joining us from